Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Roll the Dice with Dave. I hope everybody's having a good night. Looking forward to just talking about some music this evening. But before we get started, I just want to invite everybody to please go ahead and hit that like button if you are watching tonight. And also don't forget to share on your site. So this way we can get as many people involved in this conversation as we can. If anybody's interested in asking any questions of our panelists or just want to make a comment regarding music, and your interests and kind of your love and aspirations for certain things related to music, please feel free to go ahead and comment, as our panelists will be able to see the comments and be able to answer your questions. Also, as we continue tonight, please don't forget to subscribe and follow. This gives you the opportunity just to get updated on anything that we are going to be talking about on Roll the Dice with Dave. And tonight, I'm really excited for the group of young individuals that we do have tonight as a panel. So I am going to bring them out so they can start to introduce themselves. And first person I am bringing out is my daughter, Sadie Rivera. Sadie, if you don't mind introducing yourself to everybody. Microphone's on mute, sweetie.
Hi, I'm Sadie. I've been on the show a couple times before. I'm a sophomore music education major out at West Texas A&M. I'm Dave's daughter. That's about it.
That's it. That's all you got for us. All right. Next, I want to go ahead and bring up another amazing young woman from West Texas A&M. We have Bailey. Bailey, do you mind introducing yourself to everybody?
Hi, I'm Bailey. I'm also a sophomore music education major here at West Texas A&M.
So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Next guest we have is another student who is in the band at West Texas A&M. You are in the band, correct, Gage?
Yes, sir.
Everybody's in the band. All right. So we have Gage. Gage, do you mind just introducing yourself to the audience this evening?
My name is Gage Winkle, and I am also a sophomore music education major at WT.
And last but not least, I want to introduce, and just to let everybody know, Rachel hopefully will be able to join us. She is in class. She's actually doing the right thing, not skipping class to just be on the podcast, but she's in class. But once she gets wrapped up, hopefully she'll be able to join us. And last but not least, I want to go ahead and bring out Connor. Connor, do you mind introducing yourself to everyone?
Yes, sir. My name is Connor Knoll, and I am a sophomore music education major. I'm a vocalist.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I want to go ahead and jump into the first little part. We're going to talk about the review. And to start kind of everything with this little piece of conversation, if you guys remember, it seems like 20 years ago, but it was only a little over 9 months ago that we went into lockdown. So those of you that are big into music, and I'll go ahead and start with Sadie. Sadie, what did you do to get your music fix over the quarantine during that pandemic time?
Can you ask the question again? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. So what did you do to get your music fix during the pandemic? What outlets did you use? Where did you go to listen to music? What did you stream? So on and so forth.
I use Spotify. I am very Spotify loyal. I don't like Apple Music very much. We have the families plan on Spotify, so Spotify has been my main outlet of music. So that's what I use. All
right. So you mentioned that you did not like Apple Music, and we'll go ahead and get to that in just a second. How about you, Bailey? How do you get your music? How did you get your music fixed?
I'm also a Spotify user. I use Spotify a lot. Some YouTube, but not very much. Mostly just Spotify.
All right, just Spotify. Next, we'll go to Connor. Connor, what do you use to stream your music or to get your music fixed?
I also use Spotify. That's basically it. I don't listen to a ton of music in my free time, but when I do, I listen to Spotify.
Okay, and Gage, let me go ahead and guess. Are you a Spotify user as well?
Yep.
Okay, so we don't even have a mix to talk about some of the other outlets, which we'll get to in a second. Are there any other outlets or any other streaming services that you use, Gage, besides Spotify?
I mean, I'll use YouTube on occasion, but that's about it.
That's about it. So, Sadie, I want to jump back to you. You mentioned that you were not a big fan of Apple Music. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. However,
yes,
when you were, I will say this, when you were younger, you were all about that Apple Music. I do remember that. So
That is because Apple, you had to buy songs. There was no such thing as Spotify or anything like that. The only streaming service available was Pandora.
oh man, so I remember we did have the Pandora, and you had the commercials come in. So what is it about Spotify that you enjoy so much?
I like the song selection a lot better. There's such a wide variety, and because we have the family unlimited plan, I don't have to worry about skips. I don't have to worry about if the song is on Spotify, because the chances it is. Most songs that I desired to listen to are on Spotify, and that includes instrumental songs, because as a music education major, I speak for all of us, we have to listen to band pieces, vocal pieces, and most of them we can find on Spotify. You can't always find them on Apple.
That's cool. And you guys are going to let Sadie talk for you like that? She just said, I'm speaking for all of us. So, Bailey, what is it about Spotify that I guess makes you loyal or enjoy listening to Spotify?
I like how user-friendly it is. It's so easy to make a playlist and pull songs from from the app to make your playlist. So I just like how user-friendly it is.
Okay. Gage and Connor, do you guys want to add anything to what is it about Spotify that you enjoy? What is the trigger that makes you loyal Spotify users?
One thing I really like is that Spotify has like that college deal. So for college kids, it's a lot cheaper for Spotify Premium, and it comes with Hulu as well. So that's one thing. But also, for every artist I listen to, I can go and find a playlist for that specific artist, or go to an artist radio, and from there discover more music to listen to. And that's one thing I really enjoy about Spotify.
Well, that's cool. I know what Sadie likes about it is that she doesn't have to pay for it, right? For the premium family plan. So I know that's what she really loves about it, because she's just on mine. Connor, do you want to add anything as far as your streaming or your Spotify? What makes you loyal to that streaming service?
Just the ease. I have everything organized the way I like it, and you can download the songs and listen to them offline, so you don't have to burn your data. So that's what I like about it.
Cool. And I have one more question for each of you. Engage. Hopefully you don't mind. I'll start with you. Do you listen to the radio anymore?
Ooh, for a while there, the aux cord in my car wasn't working. I don't have Bluetooth, so I was for a solid, like all of senior year of high school, but not anymore.
Not anymore. Connor, do you listen to the radio?
I don't, unless it's sports radio.
Okay. Bailey, do you listen to the radio?
I don't have a car.
Yeah, she doesn't drive. She listens to
Well, you
what
don't need
I
to have a
listen
car to
to.
listen to the radio, right?
My
So,
parents listen to the radio.
okay, your parents listen to the radio.
Bailey
Sadie,
listens to what I listen to, because I drive for everywhere.
you listen to the radio anymore, Sadie?
No, we don't.
See, and I listen to the radio in the mornings when I drive to work. But usually, other than that, listening to the news. But other than that, once I get in the car, if it's any other time of day, I'm using Spotify to hit up my playlist for that. So thank you guys so much. I want to go ahead and move into the next little piece of conversation. And you guys have just gotten back to school. I refer to this little segment as HTM highlights, which is hospitality and tourism management highlights. Did each of you travel over the break in some way, shape, or form? Or even before that, have you guys traveled during the pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Connor, hopefully you don't mind. I'll go ahead and start with you this time, Connor. Can you tell me a little bit about where you traveled and how you traveled?
Over the summer, we went to Florida to visit my grandparents for about a week, and we had to fly. We flew with masks on the whole time, and we were fortunately on a flight that only sat inside and outside seats, no middle seats, so it wasn't too bad. And then over Christmas, we drove up to Colorado for a couple of days to see my aunt.
Okay, so when you flew, did you feel safe, or did you have a certain level of concern kind of just traveling to the airports and being in the planes?
I was a little apprehensive about the plane, but once I saw how it was all set up, I felt a little more at ease.
Okay. Gage, did you travel any over the break or during this pandemic?
The most travel I really did was driving to the DFW area back home, or driving down to San Marcos to visit some friends, but that's about it.
Okay. How about you, Bailey? Did you do any traveling over the break or anything along those lines?
We went to Colorado this summer to see my grandma. We drove up And then
Okay,
I live
so-
about 9 hours away. So going home, I drove home.
Okay, so a lot of driving, not as much flying. I know Connor mentioned flying, and then you flew to Florida, right? Where
Yes, sir.
Florida operates on a whole different set of rules when it comes to the way people act, which Sadie can attest to, coming home over break. Sadie, you flew here and then you flew back.
Yes.
What were your thoughts about flying back and forth from Texas to Florida?
I definitely had the sense of ease because I have already had COVID, and it was very recent that I had COVID, and so I wasn't expecting to get it again. Therefore, I felt much better knowing I wasn't going to bring it home to my family and then to bring it back to my friends. So that was literally the only sense of comfort I had. All of the flights I were on were completely full. Everyone was touching everything. They didn't care about masks. They let you eat and drink and whatever. It was a nightmare. And it was also the holidays, but it's to the point that people are so over the pandemic that they don't even care.
So, which is true. And, you talk about that, but you also did participate in the Disney fund. So we did Disney, we did a hotel. Yeah. So there was a lot of that. The three of you, though, did mention driving. So Connor, Gage, and Bailey mentioned driving. So I want to ask you this to kind of stay with the music theme. Road trip music. So what kind of music do you listen to on road trips? Bailey, we'll go ahead and start with you.
When we go with my family, my dad has control of the radio, so we listen to a lot of sports radio. But when we're with friends, we listen to just about anything.
Is there any particular type of music that when you hit the road, you're like, oh yeah, I have to listen to this. I have to listen to this song or this type of music?
No, it's such a long drive that we cover all of the bases.
Cover everything. Gage, do you have road trip music? Are there any song that I have to listen to this when I drive, or any type of music?
Man, I have like 17 different playlists, and every time I go on a drive, it's usually a couple hours long, and I just cycle through every single playlist I have.
Well, because how long is the drive from? Because you drive to Dallas Fort Worth, so that's what, about a 7-hour drive from?
It's about a 5.5 hours drive.
Drive. The last time I made that drive, I had a trailer full of stuff in it, taking Sadie back to school and then driving back home. So it just takes a little bit longer with a cargo trailer. Connor, how about you? Do you have any particular song you have to hear when you're on a road trip? Any type of music or any?
Typically, it's the 80s. I'm a big fan of the 80s. I think that's the best era of music.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Other than that, no.
No, that's awesome. So I just want to touch on this one little other aspect. Have any of you stayed at a hotel over the pandemic besides Sadie? So Bailey, what were you at a hotel?
Say that again.
Have you stayed at a hotel over the time of the pandemic?
I have.
So
When we went to,
yeah.
they didn't, when we stayed, they didn't come and clean our rooms. So they weren't like bringing germs in and out, which at first I was like, that's kind of weird, but then it like makes sense. So overall, we were basically the only people there. So it felt pretty safe.
Actually, we're seeing more and more of that. A lot of places now, if you want change out, you have to call and request. So that's a normal thing. Moving on to the next little piece, kind of want to start getting into the in your opinion, which touches a little bit more on what each of you are looking at doing. So I had put out a poll, and about 97% of the respondents felt that music should be a key part of the K through 12 education process. So I want to go ahead and I will start with, I think I made it through everybody. So I'll start with Sadie again on this one. Sadie, what are your thoughts about 97% of the respondents to that little poll saying that they think music is an important part of the educational process for K through 12?
There are so many studies out there that show that music is detrimental to childhood development and childhood growth. All of us are education majors. Some of us are in the process of education classes. Some of us are not. But even we know we love music. There's a reason we're going into it. There's a reason that we do it. If it wasn't something that was enjoyable, it wouldn't be so fought for. Like it wouldn't be so important to some people.
Okay. We'll jump to Connor now. Connor, what are your thoughts on how important music education is for K through 12?
I personally think that musicians are more intelligent than the average kid. I know from a vocalist point of view, uh, at least the program I went through in high school taught us that music has the power to heal. And I've seen so many kids come through the door on any given day where they're just defeated by something that's going on in life. And we begin to sing, and you can see their eyes light up, and everything just releases. And it looks like they're being healed. So I believe it's incredibly important to have music education in our school system.
Are you going to sing for us tonight? Make us all
No.
feel. Sing us. Oh, you're not going to sing us a lullaby as we wrap up. That should be the last thing. Connor sings us a lullaby and help us all relax and go to sleep.
Oh my goodness, no.
Oh man, that would be awesome, man. That would be voice and you just put us all to sleep, man. You can do that. Now you gotta go hook us up. All right, Bailey, your thoughts on K through 12 education and the importance of music in it?
Both of my parents are band directors, so I've seen many kids come through music programs, and I've just seen how much it can change a kid's life and change it for the better. Even not even necessarily the music, but also the community that comes within the music classes. So I do think it's very, very important to have in the classrooms.
And Gage, what are your thoughts on K through 12 music education and its importance?
So specifically like K through 4 music education, I think is incredibly important for any student to go through because one, it's going to instill the love of music into that child. And then two, as Sadie was saying, there are so many studies out there showing that if a student has a good music education, especially at that age, they go off to be better at socializing, better at problem solving, better at just doing basically everything school-wise and life-wise.
You know what's crazy? I think back to some of the teachers I had, and one of the ones I always remember is I had Mr. Kemp, and I was in the 3rd grade, and he was my music teacher. And it's crazy that of all the teachers I've had in my life, he's one of the ones that stood out. And I remember he put together a production, and if my mom and dad are actually tuning into the broadcast, it was like they didn't call it talent show. It was more like a showcase. And the piece that me and some of my buddies and everybody else did, we did like a dance montage to Michael Jackson. Because at the time, Michael Jackson was just it. So we did a montage with Thriller, I believe. I think Billie Jean. So we did a little dance. We learned how to play instruments, and some students learned how to play some of the Michael Jackson songs. But what's crazy is, Gage, as you mentioned, the K through 4, that is one of the best memories I have of school, period, was that time in the music class. So I definitely agree with you on that. One other aspect through K through 12 or music education in general, and just to get your guys' thoughts, with so many people saying, hey, I think this is so important, why do you think that's one of the first things to get cut from a budgetary standpoint in education? And I will go ahead and start with Bailey, if you don't mind giving me your thoughts on that. Did I just stump you? I didn't mean to stump you on that. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
No,
but
you're
it was
good.
just something I thought about asking, because it seems like that usually is what's cut first.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on, and it doesn't necessarily mean why you think it happens, but just your thoughts on when they say, hey, we're going to cut the budget and music go first. How does that make you feel?
It's kind of frustrating because, like I've said, I've seen my parents teach and see so many students go through the program and how it's changed them. And so it's just frustrating that they would take that away from the students that need it, that that's the only part of the day they look forward to. And so when they take that money away or the budget cuts away, that is frustrating.
Okay. Connor, we'll go ahead and go to you. See, my mom does remember. She remembers the Michael Jackson montage. Connor, your thoughts when you hear about the budget cuts when it comes to music and education?
If a music program is the first thing to go, it kind of breaks my heart. It breaks my heart in general. River Road ISD is just north of Amarillo, and they actually cut their choir program this year.
Oh,
they still have their band program, but it breaks my heart because you never know. That might be even if it's one kid, it might be their safe haven. That might be their favorite place to go every single day. And I don't know. I just feel like music is necessary and it shouldn't ever be cut. It just kind of breaks my heart. I don't know.
Okay, Gage, your thoughts?
I mean, kind of like what Connor was saying is like, how some football coaches are dads to kids, just so are band directors. Some band directors see certain kids more than they see their own parents. And that program or whatever is their safe place and their safe haven, the one place they know they could go to, and they would be all right no matter what else was going on. And it's awful to see that go for any kid, no matter how many it is.
That's true. Sadie, your thoughts?
The answer to your original question is because we don't bring in money back.
Mhm.
You have to make money to get money. So therefore, that's why football programs and sports programs usually get the most funding, because they bring in the most revenue for the schools. They're the ones who get the sponsorships and things like that. So that's the answer to your original question. I don't remember the other question.
No, that's all right. That's right. And but what's crazy though is, what gets people hyped at the games? The band, right? So people get it. No, they do. People get into the band. And I'm not going to lie. I guess I didn't enjoy the band as much when I was in high school, being a football player or anything along those lines. But going to the games as a parent, sitting there, it's fun to watch and I don't mean this in a bad way, but the band just does some different, interesting stuff that I really enjoy. Some of the little dances they do tied to the what they're playing. And actually, one of my favorite things, it was my ringtone for a while when Sadie was at Lubbock Cooper, was Magneto, right? So I recorded the band playing Magneto, and that was my ringtone. And a lot of people, when they would hear it, they go, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's the Lubbock Cooper High Band playing Magneto." And they were like, "Oh, that's your ringtone?" I was like, "Yeah, it's the coolest thing." And when you look at college now, going to college games, the band gets the crowd hyped up and gets everybody into the game. So it's a shame when they start to cut these programs. I agree with you guys. That's bad there. And I just want to run around real quick because I don't think I asked anybody this earlier. So I'll start with you, Sadie. If you don't mind telling everybody, what is your primary instrument? What do you play?
I'm a French horn player. I'm a French horn primary.
French horn primary. Bailey, what is your primary instrument?
It is also French horn.
Also French horn. Connor, what is your primary instrument? Is it your voice?
Yes, sir. Can I add something to what we just talked about?
Please feel free.
Oh my gosh, I just forgot it. Oh, never mind. Come back to me, please. I'm sorry. I forgot.
Hey, whenever it comes back to you, just feel free to say it. You just got distracted by my beautiful singing right there. That's what it was, right? It just threw you off. And Gage, what is your primary?
Oh, I play the bass clarinet.
Bass clarinet. And do you guys all play multiple instruments? So besides your primary, I'm going to throw you guys off here for just a second. Besides your primary, what is your favorite instrument to play besides your primary?
The piano.
Piano, all right.
Saxophone.
Saxophone.
Okay. Piano. Oh, so 2 pianos, 2 saxophones. All right, that is cool. I like that. So I want to move into the next piece, or the meat of what we're talking about, but really music's impact on the mind, body, and the soul. I'll start with you, Bailey. And I'm pretty sure I know what the answer to this is going to be, but I'm really still curious kind of where this is going to go. What first got you into music?
Being band director's kids.
Yeah, I knew that's where it was going. But do you remember, was there a certain instant in the household or where it was kind of that moment like, music is it, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm going to do? I absolutely just love it.
No, I've taken piano forever. So I've known that I've wanted to do music for basically as long as I can remember.
Okay. Oh, you can remember from your parents from the very, very beginning. Let's go with Sadie. Do you remember what kind of drove you that you said, you know what, music is it, I want to get into music?
I knew I wanted to be an educator forever. Like, I've always known that I wanted to teach. I just never really knew what to teach. My seventh grade, my middle school band director, Tina Robinette, was a huge factor. And then going into high school, I figured out it was easier to get into music. And then if I decided to get out of it, get out of it. So that's a big reason. But I've always known I wanted to teach, and music is something I'm good at and a good way to do that.
Cool. Thank you so much for that. Connor, do you remember what it was that drove you to get into music?
I was an athlete all the way up until right before my junior year, and I played basketball, and I just had enough of a toxic environment. And I was already in choir, and my choir director had always told me, just quit basketball, man. Come on, come all the way into music, and we'll see where we can go from there. And I just felt like I was about to enter my junior year, and I felt something tell me that, it's time to go all the way into music. You can make an impact in some way. You can change somebody's life through music. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Now, it's funny because you said you play basketball, and right away, and then you sang, I started thinking, oh, you're like the real life Troy Bolton from High School Musical. Right. That's not where we're going with that.
No, I'm not a tenor. I can't sing high.
Dude, I love that's such a. He's like, yeah, no, I'm not a tenor. That is great. Oh man, that is awesome. But as soon as you said it, I was like, oh man, you know what? He's a handsome kid. He plays basketball. He sings. The real life Troy Bolton, man. Look at that. Here we go. So,
thank you,
Gage. What was the moment where you were like, oh yeah, music. This is it. This is me. Where you kind of had that aha moment?
Man, it's hard to remember because I remember the first moment I ever wanted to do music was my brother is 6.5 years older than me, and he played bass clarinet. And so I saw him playing that, and then I was like, from there, that's why I decided to play bass clarinet. But I don't think it was until high school, around my late sophomore, early junior year, I was trying to figure out what I actually wanted to do with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just sitting there, and the only thing that kept on popping up in my head was band and music and stuff like that. And so I figured from there, well, might as well give it a try.
Cool, man. I tell you what, I really appreciate those stories. I think it's awesome. And Mom, if you can clarify kind of who you were, she was like, I was thinking Josh Groban. So, he's like, oh, no.
That'd be my roommate. He's a killer tenor.
Oh, really? Okay. Cool. So did this next question revolves around what has really driven you to stay involved in music? I know when somebody has a passion, they go for it, but there's always bumps along the way, trials and tribulations. So Gage, I'll go ahead and start with you. What has kind of fueled that passion for you to stay involved in music and decide to make it your career?
One of the biggest things is that music has always been something I can fall back on no matter what is going on with me in my life or the world itself. It's the one safe place I have. And and that mixed with education is I want to give that safe place to others and other kids. I want to make sure that they have somewhere they can go and be all right. And that's kind of the main thing driving me forward.
Thank you so much for that. I like that. I like that safe space. We'll go ahead and jump up to Bailey. So Bailey, what has kind of kept you driving forward to decide, you know what, music is going to be my life and my career, and I'm going to stick with this going forward?
The impact that I've seen that it has on other people and myself. Whenever the pandemic started, there were so many people that were doing the virtual choirs and the virtual band ensembles, and just to see how music got people through that and how it's gotten people through other things in the past is just really powerful to me.
Cool. And before we go forward, I want Rachel, do you mind introducing yourself? Thank you so much for joining us. Did you leave class early?
No, my class got out.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. If you don't mind introducing yourself to everybody, and also go ahead and add what is your primary instrument.
Okay. Hello, I am Rachel Stansel. My primary instrument is clarinet. I don't know what all you wanted me to include in that.
No, that's right. So,
Okay.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Midland, and I've lived there all my life. Midland, Texas.
Okay. Midland, Texas. I'm familiar with that. So just to give people some perspective, if All of you go to school out in Canyon, Texas, out in West Texas. Typically, people think Friday Night Lights, football, when West Texas, just to give people some perspective. And you're near Midland, which is where the Permian Panthers are not too far from there. It is where the movie Friday Night Lights is based off of the Permian Panthers, so on and so forth, just to give some context. Do you have a favorite secondary instrument, Rachel?
I'm not sure. I also play piano and cello, and they're a lot of fun to do. But yeah.
All right. Let me go ahead and kind of move through Sadie. Then we'll go Sadie, Connor, and then I'll come back to Rachel for this last piece. What has kind of driven you to stay involved in music and decide to make this your career, Sadie?
I'm leaning towards teaching elementary education, and I want to teach Title I areas, which are the low-income, lower-class areas. And I know that music can be a huge factor in those kids' lives, and I just want to be that person that helps to aid keeping kids potentially off the street, out of trouble, help them get through middle and high school and so on and so forth. That's what I want to do, and that's what's keeping me going, is because I have teachers like that in my life, but I was never even close to a bad situation. I want to be the light that kids can see in even if they don't realize they're not in the best situation. I want to be that light.
Thank you so much for that answer. I appreciate that. Connor, what drives you and motivates you to stay involved in music?
I fortunately came from a choral program it felt like a family. My choir director was very invested in building a community. And I saw the effect that had on everyone in the program. I one day want to build a community similar to the one that I grew up in, and hopefully that can impact lives and not just create like a lifelong musician, but maybe create somebody who just loves music, because everyone listens to music and everyone enjoys music. So I want to leave a positive impact on kids. Some way.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that answer. And Rachel, what is driving you to stay involved and make music your career?
Well, ever since I was honestly a kindergartner, I thought that I wanted to be a teacher. And then I got to 7th grade and I knew I wanted to be a music teacher. And honestly, music's just on my mind all the time, whether it's listening to like the music normal people listen to today, or whether it's going to class and doing music. I also have an answer similar to Connor's and Sadie's. My band and orchestra directors in high school and even junior high, they were super influential. They impacted my life greatly. They were extremely inspiring, and they believed in me. And I want to be there for students like that, specifically students who have a harder time connecting with other teachers, because I personally did. I'm just a kind of a quiet kid. I like to keep to myself. But I also want to be there for the kids who do want to do music in the future. I know all people don't have like super personable directors and super personable people, but I was super dedicated to music, and I was so fortunate to have those directors who like recommended colleges for me, helped me find private lesson teachers, helped me just with everything, with like music recommendations, what I needed to do to become as successful as I did.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that answer. I want to ask you guys this. It's a little deviation from some of the questions that are here, because I can't remember who mentioned how so many people fell towards or relied on music to kind of get through the beginning stages of the pandemic. And I thought it was a strategic thing when Disney released Hamilton, kind of in the middle of all of it. So I take it all of you are Hamilton fans? Anybody not like Hamilton? All right, so I want to go ahead and what is it about Hamilton and that music that kind of gets you? I'm trying to think of the best, just excited about it. And anybody can jump in to start, because I know we watched it like every day. I know I watched it like every day. We put it on. We just had it on when we had stuff going on in the background. We even made like a a family night where everybody sat down and we're like, hey, we're going to watch Hamilton. So what is it about that kind of triggered you guys into liking it so much? And anybody can chime in to start.
I would say a lot of that music, it's just interesting to listen to for the most part. A lot of it is very fast paced, driving, and rhythmic. And if it's not, even the slower pieces have a lot of emotion built into them. They make you feel what the character itself is feeling. And so I think because of that, a lot of people can attach to it or just listen to it and not really realize what they're listening to.
Cool. I love listening to you explain that, because that is so different. Most people would be like, man, it just sounds good. But your explanation was so much. So I like your explanation so much better than what was going through my mind. Anybody else want to chime in on their thought about that?
It was just such an addiction. When Hamilton came out back in 2016, everyone absolutely fell in love with it when it comes 2017. So I think a lot of it, as bad as this may sound, is bandwagon. As music people, as a music person specifically, I don't like all musicals. I don't at all. I'm very picky about what I listen to, especially musical related. So I think that a lot of it was with the hype. It got a lot of popularity, and then it shifted into the people who really liked it, really, really liked it. And there's just so many different technical elements to it that music majors and musicians themselves can actually really enjoy it, because it plays not only on all different kinds of words and stresses and forms, but it also plays on popular music.
Cool. Bailey, I saw you shaking your head as Sadie was saying some stuff. What are the thoughts of kind of the Hamilton, I guess, phenomenon that you like about it so much?
To me, when you think of like a Broadway show, you don't think of Hamilton. You think very like not rap, but basically the opposite of what Hamilton is. And I think that it just drew a bunch of people in, that they were like, oh, this is a show and this is Broadway, and just, yeah.
No, cool. Connor, do you want to add anything to that?
I don't really have anything to add.
No, that's Hamilton. Cool. Rachel, do you want to add anything?
No, honestly, I agree with what everybody said. I'm not the biggest Hamilton fan, but it was still just cool because, like, me and my family would watch it, and then me and my friends would watch it. So it was a nice way at the beginning of the pandemic to kind of unite with people and just, like, be personable with other people.
No, and I get what you're saying, because I feel like what Hamilton did for music, introducing some people to music in a different way, is kind of what Harry Potter did for people reading books, where it was that phenomenon and everybody's like, well, I just got to read this Harry Potter thing to see what it's about. I felt a lot of people did that with Hamilton and then realized they liked music more than what they thought they would, or different aspects to it, which brings me to this other little piece before we move into the next segment. So Sadie, your mom convinced me to sit down and watch Bridgerton on Netflix with her. I don't know if anybody else is watching Bridgerton.
Me and Bailey watched it.
You guys
were watching it.
I'm not done. No spoilers.
Oh, no, you're not going to get any spoilers from me. But one of the things I thought was really cool was if you listen to the background, sometimes with their social events.
I didn't like it. They put popular music into orchestral arrangements, but they were bad orchestral arrangements. I did not like it at all.
Oh my God. Okay, so I guess this is that thing where you take a layman such as myself who knows jack diddly squat about, I guess, the technical or good stuff with music. So I'm sitting there watching it, and I hear Billie Eilish's Bad Guy in the background as they're playing it. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And you're like, yeah, no, I don't like it.
It was awful.
So Sadie, I guess I'll start with you. Explain why it's awful. Yeah.
I just didn't like it. I didn't like the arrangements. They were arranged poorly, in my opinion. They sounded very, very computerized. It's like someone took the Billie Eilish thing and stuck it in a computer and said, okay, we'll put strings with it to make it sound like it fits the old school European timeline. It was just bad.
No, that's crazy.
I didn't like it.
I was playing it in my car the other day. Like I had it on, I was driving around, and I found it, and they have like the 6 or 7 songs that are contemporary songs, but played. What did you say? The whatever time frame? The old English time frame. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So I was like, this is cool. So I had it on. I had it on in my office today while I was sitting there. It kind of put me in a happy mood working on stuff. So Bailey, you've also watched Bridgerton. Has anybody else watched Bridgerton? and what they're doing. I don't know if I'm sold on the show, but now I feel I've invested enough of my life. I got to see what happens. But I thought that part was so cool. So Bailey, what are your thoughts on the musical aspects of it since you've seen it?
Yeah, I thought that there have been better arrangements of pop songs that have been done.
Dude, now I feel I'm liking trash. Right now I feel like it's garbage, and I feel like such an uncultured swine that I'm sitting here going, "Oh man, I thought it was so cool," and you guys are going, "No, it was trash." All right, so I want to move on to the next question, and I'll go ahead and start with Rachel. Rachel, when you listen to music, do you have different types of music that you listen to based on your emotions? And if you could explain a little bit, what kind of music do you listen to kind of get you in a good mood?
Yes, I do have different types of music that I listen to based on my emotion, but I feel like that type of music changes every once in a while.
Okay.
So like, say for instance, if I'm feeling homesick, I grew up listening to country music. Now I get a lot of judgment for it, but I did. So if I'm feeling homesick, I'll listen to like country music, and that'll lift my spirits in that way. Or if I'm feeling just sad for whatever reason, I will put up like upbeat, like alternative type music, just to like clear my mind of being sad. Um, yeah, those are some examples. When I was like younger, I was a little bit of a nerd and I loved classical music. So I would listen to classical music to like hype myself up or be happy. So I don't know.
That's great. That's the first time I think I've heard somebody say, "I listen to classical music to get hyped up." But no, I think that's cool. I think that's cool. Gage, I'll go ahead and shift to you. Do you mind giving us some examples of the type of music you listen to, depending on your kind of feelings or what you're thinking about emotionally?
Yeah, so like say if I was like for whatever reason, if I'm angry, I'm gonna listen to angry music that I can like yell along to, just kind of get it all out there, you know what I mean? So that's probably gonna be for me a lot of like rap for me. But if I'm sad, I'll either listen to like some kind of like R&B or some sad hip hop, or I'll even listen to like some like band pieces that are more sad in general that just kind of help me feel my emotions and get them out there.
Okay, cool. Thank you for those examples. I'll go ahead and shift over to Connor. Connor, do you mind? Same question.
When I'm feeling down or just when I'm in a good mood, I typically listen to my Christian music playlist. It's either Christian or 80s. And lately it's been a lot of 80s. I love the 80s.
Dude, I love it. I love it, man. I'm all about the 80s music, man. Oh, that's awesome. So let me touch on this. You mentioned listening to your Christmas. So what is there a particular person or artist from the 80s that you typically find yourself dipping into?
Gosh, I don't know. I have so many on my playlist. I really like Elton John, and I like Queen. I like a lot of Queen stuff.
I was gonna say, yeah, who doesn't, right?
Yeah, who
I
doesn't
think
like
if somebody
Queen?
goes, yeah, I don't like Queen, everybody kind of goes like, what?
Yeah,
No, that's good stuff. Especially from the 80s. Do you have any Prince on there? Just gotta ask.
I don't. I've actually never listened to Prince.
Oh, you just lost all your cool points, bro.
No.
Yeah. Oh man, how can you not get down with Prince, man?
I'll listen to Prince right afterwards.
No, I have a funny story to tell about Prince. We have an old video footage of my dad singing "When Doves Cry." Just a random time. I don't even think he realized at first the video camera was on him. There you go. Purple Rain is another one. So we have somebody who's just mentioning Purple Rain. But man, I love Prince. I think Prince is one of the greatest artists of all time. But yeah, you got to get Prince on that playlist, bro. Got to get Prince on the playlist. So,
All right, I'll check
Sadie,
him out.
how about you? Same question, Sadie.
I listen to a lot of all kinds of music. A lot of times Bailey and I will go on drives and we'll just like scream TikTok songs because songs on TikTok are super popular. And we know them because we're both obsessed with TikTok. So TikTok songs are a really big thing that I know I listen to, and then she has no choice but to listen to. That's a really big one. I like musicals a lot. I listen to musicals often, and I really like Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran. All right, cool. Bailey, how about you? Artists, emotions, kind of what you listen to?
I listen to just about everything. I've been listening to a lot of Taylor Swift lately since she came out with the new album. But just about anything I listen to.
No, that's cool. I find that my musical taste really expanded over the pandemic, because I was running, like every day, 4 or 5 miles a day. And after a while, listening to your playlist over and over and over again, sometimes you can get a little tired of listening to some of those songs. So I would just let Spotify pick, a random playlist, and it really expanded into it. Here was a classic, the Beatles, but I found myself listening to a lot of Johnny Cash ended up coming onto my playlist. And I've always been a fan of Johnny Cash, but certain songs. And the more I listen to him, Gage, I don't know if you'll appreciate this or not, but when I listened to Johnny Cash, I went, man, he's like the original gangster rapper when you listen to some of his stuff. So if you want to listen to some angriness in the music, you can listen to Johnny Cash. It's just done in a slightly different way.
I'm well acquainted.
All right, man. Hey, that's cool. I tell you, I love this conversation. It makes me feel good that some of the music I listened to growing up still has that staying power, right? That it just can't go wrong with some of that music. So I want to kind of go around just to get a feel. If you had to listen to just one song for the rest of your life, that was it. Just one song to play for okay. I got this right here. If anybody knows me and truly knows me, I'm all about Wu-Tang. And it's just one of those things. If you know, you know. Wu-Tang Clan for life, definitely. So Sadie, I want to start with you. One song. You don't want me to start with you.
Don't start with me. I have no idea.
No idea. All right. You know what? I got confidence in Gage. I'm going to start with Gage. I have confidence in Gage. He's like, oh, damn.
I listen to too much music to pick one. Let's go. I got to look through my playlist.
But you know what? I think this is awesome that I asked you guys, hey, can you pick one? And it just really shows the power of music because, like all of you have said, different times, different feelings, different emotions. So let's see. Can I go with Bailey?
No.
No? How about Rachel?
Yes.
No?
Oh, hold on. You couldn't unmute the mic. Actually, if I had to think about it, so you mentioned Johnny Cash, and like that made me super happy because he was my favorite artist in high school. I was so weird, but probably Folsom Prison Blues, just because that was my favorite song ever in high school. I listened to it on repeat for like 4 years.
That is, and I will say this, Rachel, that does not make you weird. That actually makes you the opposite of weird. It makes you really, really cool from that standpoint. So yeah, it does. It does. So that's awesome. Connor, do you have one song? I feel like everybody now like has their phones and they're like, oh, I'm trying to find
I don't have one. I don't have a single song that I would listen to for the rest of my life. I can't.
I feel like such a bad host because I asked you a question that there's no way I could even answer myself, right? Because I don't think there's one song that truly touches me in a way that I'm like, yeah, that's the song. That's the one song I could listen over and over and over again because there were just so many different songs that impacted my life over time. So let me go ahead and pivot to this way. And you guys could still be thinking about it. If one kind of jumps out at you as your favorite, we'll go there. But I want to switch this and I'll start with you, Connor. Favorite artist of all time. Who is your favorite artist of all time?
Oh my goodness. Gosh. My favorite artist is King and Country. They're a Christian band. They have so much. I don't know. They have a lot of different stuff that I have on my playlist, but that's my favorite.
That's your favorite. No, that's cool. And I will go ahead and zigzag up. Bailey, do you have a favorite?
I don't.
You don't have like one artist that's money the whole time.
No, I just listen to so much music that I don't think I can pick just one.
All right. How about you, Sadie? Do you have that one?
If I absolutely had no choice but to pick, I'd probably pick Ed Sheeran. Probably. But I don't have an answer. If like I was forced to pick one, that's as close as it's gonna get.
As close as it's going to get. Gage, do you have one artist that you're like, this is the artist, this is the one?
If I was forced to pick, I think I would have to choose Kendrick Lamar, just because every album by him tells a story and he's amazing at it. And also he also has tons of jazz influence in there as well. And
I tell you what, man, you're like an onion, bro. You got a lot of layers to you, man. You really do. You really do. This is awesome. I may just have to reach out to you and we just talk music off the air at a different time. All of you.
anytime.
I do want to say this. I really have enjoyed this conversation. I don't know if you guys, my cheeks hurt from smiling so much, listening to you talk about different aspects of music. And I really appreciated this. So Rachel, do you have one artist that you would go, yeah, this is the one?
I really don't know. I guess, like Sadie said, if you were like forced to pick one, it would probably be. Well, I still have two. Okay, it'd be like Johnny Cash.
Yeah, we can
Okay,
go
it'd be Johnny Cash, or I don't know, probably George Strait, because I've been listening to him since I was like 4. So, and I still enjoy his music. But I like other music other than country. I just want to throw that out there.
No, it's cool. And I will say this. I don't know if it's because I'm living in Florida now, FLAW, Florida, as some people say it. I hear country music driving around. It has, I hate to say grown on me because then it makes it sound like I just absolutely despise country music or something like that. But my ears, I would say, have just become a little bit more tuned in to the different sounds and how the sounds of country music, you could almost hear it in other types of music and other types of music in country as well. That it really has taken on a different perspective when I listen to it. So kind of moving with a couple of other questions I have for you guys. And this kind of relates to movies. Do you guys have a movie that you like because of the soundtrack, not because of the movie?
Yeah. If I had to say one, I also kind of like the movie, but also the soundtrack just makes the movie 100 times better, is Interstellar. If try listening to that movie without the soundtrack, it's not going to have the same impact as it did before. It's just not going to be anywhere near as good. And that's honestly with most any movie, but with that movie especially.
That's the one with Matthew McConaughey, right? Where like the connectivity, he ends up popping out in like the book and all that stuff. Okay, that's a really good movie. I might have to try and see if I could mute out the music and go ahead and just do the movie. So I like that. Interstellar. Anyone else want to go ahead and throw a movie that's made because of the soundtrack?
Indiana Jones.
Oh man, that's a great one, dude. You were born in the wrong era. I think you're an 80s kid reincarnated now, because Indiana Jones is definitely that sums up the 80s with some of its cheesiness and action adventure. Yes, love the musical soundtrack for Indiana Jones. Bailey, Rachel, Sadie.
This is cheesy, but I would say How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh no, that's not cheesy.
I agree.
I think that's pretty cool. No, I think that's a pretty cool one. And I would agree with you on that too, because that soundtrack helps to enhance the movie. I agree with that. So no, I like that. I definitely like that perspective. Sadie, Rachel.
I know a lot of people are not going to like this answer, but I think the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies are awful, but I like the music that goes with them. The soundtracks are good. Lord of the Rings.
And Lord of the Rings. Actually, those were really good soundtracks. And they really did enhance the movies. For me, actually, haven't gotten one from Rachel. Rachel, is there a movie soundtrack that helps to just enhance it overall?
I agree with Gage and Bailey. I like Star Wars. I'm not an avid Star Wars watcher like a lot of people are, but the soundtrack is good. And then How to Train Your Dragon.
So I'm a Star Wars guy. I actually have the Empire as my ringtone, and it's funny because a lot of times they'll see my wife's name pop up, and they're like, "Oh, you gave the Imperial March to your wife as a ringtone." And I was like, "No, it's not just her; it's the ringtone in general. She just happens to call me more than anybody else, right?" So it kind of sticks right there. But everybody thinks I have it just for her. So I'm willing to take a stab that my mom actually meant Goodfellas, the soundtrack for the movie Goodfellas. And it's true. I just feel that there's so many movies out there where I love it. I love period pieces. So watching some movies that are like period movies and you listen to the soundtrack. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Carlitos Way. It's about a Puerto Rican gangster who goes to jail, gets out of jail. He was a drug dealer. But the soundtrack to that is so kind of tied like into the 70s and 80s. It's unbelievable. I absolutely love it. It's a great soundtrack. So you might want to check it out, Connor, since you're a child of the 80s anyway.
Yeah.
A couple other questions related to just the feelings related to music. So what are your guys' favorite musical pieces that you like to play?
Like band pieces?
Yeah, sure. Or if it's just kind of messing around, jam session. But I guess I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Sadie, maybe you can help me on the framing of the question. But the way
Do you have a favorite piece that you've played? Do you have a favorite piece that you've played or sang?
One of my favorite pieces I played is going to be Cuban Overture by George Gershwin because it has a lot of Latin rhythms in it, and I play bass clarinet, so I played the entire time as just a Latin bass line, and that is just so much fun to do, and it's just so much fun to listen to as well.
And what's it again? You said it's called Cuban
Overture.
Cuban Overture. Okay. Anybody else? Your favorite pieces to play?
My favorite piece that I've ever played, it was actually an orchestra. It's called March of the Scaffolds, and it's like the fourth movement of Symphony Fantastique by Berlioz. And I enjoyed it so much because the story that was meant to be told through it is extremely clear in what's being played. So like if you're to like be told the story beforehand, you would be able to recognize like what's going on in the music. It's really aggressive. It's pretty technical. And there's also extremely beautiful parts in it too. Like it has a little bit of everything. So I really like that piece.
Cool. Bailey or Connor?
I would say mine is a piece we played my senior year of high school called Machu Picchu. I can't remember who it's by right now, but it just has like, it starts out loud and it ends loud, but has a really pretty slow middle section. Just a little bit of everything like Rachel said with her piece.
Cool. Connor, I guess yours would maybe be singing since you're a vocalist.
Yes, there was a piece that I sang when I was a senior in high school called "I'll Lift Mine Eyes." This is really nerdy, but the chord progression really makes that song, and it's a 4-part song. It's sung by men and women, so it's just talking about lifting your eyes up to God and what comes from that.
Cool. And Sadie?
Probably would have to be from my freshman year of high school. I played Lancashire Posey in completion, and anybody involved in band knows that playing that in completion for a high school band is hard in itself. And not only did my band play it in completion, we played it and won a state contest over in North Carolina. But that would probably be my favorite thing that I've played.
That's what you did when you were at Rose?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Man, I don't know why. When you started saying that in my mind, I was thinking LCP. I didn't realize it was at Rose. So as we go, I have this question, and I would love for you guys to tell us a little bit about what are your future musical goals? And anybody can just jump in instead of kind of going through, what are your goals as far as the future when it comes to your musical progression?
As soon as I get my bachelor's, I would like to go straight in to get a master's degree, and then after that, teach upper level high school for a few years to save up for my doctorates, because eventually I want to teach college, whether it's clarinet primarily, or just band or music theory or anything music related, honestly. But yeah, we'll see as that happens. I don't know if it will, but it would be nice. So
Cool. Anyone else want to go ahead and chime in? What are your future musical goals?
I can go and hop in. For my main goal is to teach high school. All I really want to do is teach high school. I do plan on getting at least one master's in the future, probably more. But high school is a goal, and I guess after that, the ultimate dream would be able to take a high school marching band to the state marching competition.
Nice. I like that. That is awesome. Awesome to hear. Who has not answered? We can go with Bailey, Connor, or Sadie. Future musical goals.
Mine would be to teach 6th, 7th, or 8th grade when people are just starting their instruments. And just like when it's something new for students to see the light in their eyes.
Cool. I like that. Which reminds me, have you guys seen Mr. Holland's Opus? About the band teacher. It's on Disney Plus. Check it out. Awesome movie. Knowing that I was going to talk to you guys, I thought about that movie a lot. So just throwing that out there, you should check it out. Connor, your future musical goals?
My immediate goals are to, after I get my bachelor's, go and get a master's in performance. Like, I'd like to give performing a shot first, but my ultimate goal is to teach at the high school level, teach choir at the high school level.
Cool. And Sadie, your future musical goals?
I am leaning towards elementary, and everyone tells me I should be doing elementary music ed. So I want to teach the little ones.
So you want to teach the ones that they use their clarinets as baseball bats instead?
No, not even instrument. At most, recorders and maybe some violins.
Well, they're using their recorders as lightsabers.
Yes, that's what I want.
All right, so guys, we are coming to the end of the broadcast. I do want to thank you guys so much. I've really enjoyed talking with you guys, and I'm looking forward to continuing just to talk to you guys. You guys have really made me happy. I don't know if you guys can see. Every time you guys gave answers on anything, I've been smiling. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I want to give you guys a chance to give your last thoughts. So I call this last little piece to kind of rant and rave with Dave. So I will start in the bottom right for me, which is going to be Gage. What are your final thoughts, or what would you like to leave the audience with as far as your thoughts on music?
All I have to say is that I don't think the general public appreciates music as much as they should. I don't think they realize how much music is ingrained into their daily lives, with every time they get in their car, every commercial you've ever seen, every TV show you watch, every movie. Music is everywhere, and I don't think everyone takes that to heart.
Thank you so much. I agree with you 100% on that. Rachel, your thoughts, final thoughts you want to give everybody on music?
I agree with Gage. This connects to music for me. Maybe it's something else for other people, but if you're passionate about it, continue doing it no matter what other people think. Because a lot of people will look at you going into school as a music major, being like, why are you doing that? You're not going to make that much money. Well, I guess money matters, of course. Like, you need money, but if you're happy, that's really what's the most important thing. So whether it's pursuing music, whether it's listening to a type of music, or whether it's just doing anything in your daily life, if you're passionate about it and you're good at it, even if you're not good at it, if you're passionate about it and it makes you happy, continue to do it. Don't let others rain on your parade.
Thank you so much for those words, Rachel. I appreciate it. Connor, you want to give your final thoughts on the topic we've been discussing tonight?
Yeah, I kind of want to build on what Gage said, that everyone listens to music. That was my thought earlier. When people think, oh, let's cut the arts, I mean, you got to think about, where did the popular creators of today come from? They had to learn somewhere. So if you don't give somebody that chance, who knows? You could miss out on the next Kendrick Lamar, or somebody who's going to make it big and impact someone's life. So I
Could be
just
missing out on the next Connor.
no. Oh, no.
Did you just do a TikTok? Oh no, 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 no.
Yes, it's ingrained in my memory now.
Which just had to throw this out there, since we did just touch on that TikTok little piece. The little thing where everybody's like, oh no, no. That's actually Aerosmith. That's Aerosmith, and they altered the sound of one of their other songs to then use it in that piece. So it just goes to show good music is everywhere, even when they distort it and kind of mess it up for TikTok. So next we'll go. Actually, did you have anything else you wanted to add, Connor, before I move on?
No, sir, I'm all good.
All right, thank you so much for your answer. I appreciate it. Bailey, your final thoughts?
Just to build off what everyone else has said, music is just something that brings everyone together and is so good for the soul, that just keep listening to music, help support people. Yeah.
Glad to hear that. Thank you so much, Bailey, for your thoughts. I appreciate it. And Sadie, you get the final thought.
Support your kids when they want to go into music. Don't discourage them by telling them they're not going to make money. We know we're not going to make money. We're not doing it to make money. Trust me. None of us in this call are doing this to become rich and famous. Support your kids, even when they sound awful at trumpet in the 6th grade. Just support your kids, especially in music.
No, that's all. Hopefully we've been supportive of your music endeavor. Actually, I don't think you played enough when you came home over break. I kept saying, hey, when are you going to practice?
I couldn't breathe.
So, but no, I think you guys are all great. So there's just a little final thought that I want to add. I just want to say that the future of education, whoever ends up with you folks is their teachers. They're going to be very, very lucky. Just in this little conversation that I've had with you, I would be super happy if my grandchildren came to me and said, hey, I have Connor, Gage, Rachel, Bailey, or Sadie as a teacher, especially music. I think it would be awesome. I think you guys represent a bright future for this country in education. And I'm really glad you guys are sticking with your passion, because when you find your passion, you'll never work another day in your life. There'll be tough days, but you'll absolutely love them. So thank you guys so much for being on here, sharing your passion with us. Looking forward to continuing to talk to you guys more and more. So for next week, I just want to let everybody know we're going to be sticking with the arts. I know a young woman who is at Flagler College, and she actually was involved in the hospitality industry as well as in theater. Both industries have been hit very hard, and we're going to be engaging in a conversation with her revolving around hospitality and the theater arts, and kind of her thoughts on when the two worlds collide and how she combined the two, and what could possibly we could look at going forward from each of those, because I'm really looking forward to the arts getting back for us to be able to go and enjoy a theater production again. So that wraps up this episode of Roll the Dice with Dave. I hope everybody enjoyed our guests. All of you, again, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I truly appreciate you. And thank you for sharing your passions. And I hope everybody has a wonderful evening.